The Trojans sit at 2-0 after another ultimately commanding win in the Coliseum, winning by 39 on Saturday. I'm sure plenty to go over, Coach, with the team on Sunday. What were your key takeaways for them as now we step up into Big Ten play?
Yeah, it was good to be able to separate again and make enough plays on all sides to get that done. So I think that, that first and foremost. We had to deal with a little bit more adversity than we did in the first game. We had the fumble early on. We gave up a couple of plays in the secondary, one competitive throw and one busted coverage, and so. Yeah, I think to have to deal with that a little bit was good, and I thought the team responded well from it. There's a lot of good plays. I mean, we're making a lot of explosive plays on both sides of the ball. Offense had a lot of big plays. Defensively, we had a lot of big plays, sacks, TFLs, all of that. The penalties stood out in the first half for sure. I thought, that definitely, I think, gave them a little bit of life offensively, extended some drives. We had one on a 3rd and 6 where there was an incomplete pass that they ultimately ended up scoring on that drive. So we got to clean up the penalties. But, yeah, I mean, I think there were definitely some things that improved on both sides of the ball from week 1 to week 2, and we'll have to continue to do that. I mean, we know the games are going to get tougher. The challenges are going to be different, including this week, and so we've just got to keep building. But I think also, the other big takeaway was, again, it's 2 games now we've been able to play a lot of the roster. We've been able to play a lot of guys, and that is going to pay dividends later on this season. That'll pay dividends in the future. Games like that where you can separate. Obviously, winning handily like that is great anytime, but then the other added benefit is that you're spreading out the reps. You're developing more guys for the stretch run, especially in college football now with the potential for these seasons to really be longer than they've ever been. It's important to have some games like that.
Coach, offensive line wise, you rotate a little bit of shuffling going on, and a relatively young group coming together after game 2. No sacks given up again, and the run game has been tremendous. What have you seen from that group that gets you excited?
Yeah, I think Coach Hanson's really done a nice job with that group. I think it's a very cohesive group. I think. I think both of our centers, both Killian and Jean-Ray Reed have done a nice job in terms of, commanding the group. We've played pretty steady. We really have. We haven't had a lot of bust. We were definitely cleaner in the run game this week when compared to week 1. We got some guys that are playing physical and aggressive, and so it's been good to see. It really has. It's taking a big step up at that position was. I think a big focus point for us in the offseason. And I think, I'm excited what I've seen through 2 games. Again, challenges are getting ready to change, but we've handled the first 2 well so far.
Justin Tawanawu with the big hit. I like that play. That play was awesome for me. He actually comes off. He's open space, big block, and then he trips. Does he get any grief for the trip at the end?
Well, see these guys all hate wearing knee braces, so he had the knee braces. They
blame it on the braces.
No, these guys, it's unbelievable how much they hate it. But it happens like once a day because you'll see a guy running and the knee braces just catch, and it's just we had a good laugh during the team meeting yesterday, but it was an awesome block by Justin.
You mentioned playing a lot of Trojans. We saw a lot of rotation at the corner position. What have you seen on the whole from that room?
Yeah, that's been a goal here in these first couple of weeks was to play a lot of guys. I think DeCarlos has really, he's been our steadiest player there through camp and certainly in the first 2 games. So I think he's really established that he's going to play a lot of snaps for us. It was great to get Chasen back, although he was on a little bit of a pitch count, but it was great to get him back and see him get some reps. He took some really good reps in the game. It was a bad pass interference call on him. I mean, that was good coverage, and he thought he did a pretty nice job. And it was good to see, Marcellus, Conley, Harvey, all of those guys, just get a chance to rep them. And so we'll probably have to narrow that down here at some point. I mean, we understand that, but they all had some really positive reps. Conley had some really good tackles. Marcellus had a couple really nice plays in coverage. I mean, that's been kind of one of our goals was, play all these guys. Let's see what we've got, and then we'll plan on narrowing it down as we get into Big Ten play.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. Coach, staying on the defensive side of the ball, you have 21 tackles for loss already through 2 games. You had 53 all of last season. What has allowed you to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage?
Well, we we haven't had the blitz to get pressure or to get in the backfield. And I think number one. I think number two, we've had more production from our edge players, and those were obviously two things we talked about at length throughout the entire offseason, right? Was being more dominant on the defensive front, not putting us in a position we feel like, man, if we don't blitz, we're not gonna get the pressure, get the push that we need. And so I think the depth and talent there on the defensive line, and again, I think the production of some of the edge guys really showed up, especially the other day. It was a very, very productive day for the defensive end. So being able to rotate a lot of guys, keep bodies fresh, has been really good. So yeah, I mean that's. Again, challenges are going to continue to change, but we're off to a pretty solid start there on the D line. We still have a lot of things we want to clean up. We got out of gap a couple of times on a few of the runs that came out. I mean, none of the runs were crazy explosive, but still, we got to play a little bit steadier there. But it's good to see the production. Good to see us changing the line of scrimmage, pushing the line of scrimmage back, winning in one-on-one pass pros. That's it's definitely a step in the direction of the way we want to play defensively and on the defensive front.
Coach, with Jada Mayava, his second go-around when in the game, obviously we don't have the expert in Cody Kessler here to ask you a question about Jada Mayava, but how do you think he played, after my novice expertise on the situation, watching the game, he looked like he was comfortable early, and then, it seemed like he maybe pocket presence for me. It looked like he was maybe getting out of that pocket a little early. Then the throw I loved was he sat in that pocket for the Lake McCree throw over the middle. Yep. I loved how he sat right there, took the shot, and delivered the ball. How'd you grade out his performance?
He played well again. He did. He was very steady. He, I think was very much in command of what we were doing, saw the right things. You're right. He had one or two plays that we should have just stayed in the pocket. We had what we wanted and got out a little bit too quick. Had one decision in a scramble drill that honestly we didn't love. But, I mean, that's honestly the only decision that he's had in two games that we weren't pretty fired up about. So, did a good job. Played very, very steady. Got the ball in the playmakers' hands. Did a good job, still being effective in the run game and, ran the group, communicated well. So, another really good performance from him.
Something we were curious coming into this season was who's going to be that third receiving option for Jaden. And I don't know if you feel this way, but it almost feels like the tight ends are kind of emerging as that option. Is it more situational in that sense, or do you feel like they're becoming a best friend for Jaden in that sense?
I think his and our trust in that room has grown throughout the offseason, and I think grown with some of the depth that we've been able to put together in that room. And so it's been good to see. I think those guys are definitely going to be a big factor in what we do, and it's good to see that tight end position more involved. That's what we want it to be here, and I think that room is getting to the point where it's one that we're going to be able to rely on week in and week out. And then there's several other receivers obviously that are playing well. So I think we've got some unique options that allow us to change, what we want to or how we want to attack different people in different weeks and have some pretty good versatility to our group.
One last one before we break, Coach. The running back room continues to put up massive numbers, another huge rushing day. And we're getting to know these guys. And one thing that stood out that we talked about on the broadcast was just their patience, particularly looking at Wayman and Eli, who are your top two ball carriers on Saturday. They don't seem to be in any hurry. They really change tempos. They let their blocks get set up. How much of that is coached into them in the short time that they've been here, or is that natural to guys as you've seen? Because we have seen great running backs in the past too that just explode through the first hole that they see.
Yeah, I think Coach Jones has done a nice job with that group, and I also think I think they have a lot of trust in our line, our tight ends, our scheme, what we're doing, because a lot of times you try to coach that patience, but then if they don't trust it, they get, especially in a game, and they just go. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of an old saying in coaching, when coaching running backs, it's slow to and then fast through, and having the patience to see what's really happening up front. It's a skill, and it's got to be trusted on game day. So it's cool to see those guys doing it here early in the season.
All right, you ready to take it to the next level? Unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, a proud partner of USC football. Big Ten play starts this Saturday. It's a 12:30 kick here in the Pacific time zone. So we'll go on with the Trojan Tailgate Show at 10:30 in the morning here on the USC Trojans Media Network. The game will be on CBS if you're watching. If you're there, if you're watching on TV on CBS, if you're there, it'll kick off at 3:30 Eastern. So some time zones to give you there. We'll talk to Coach about Big Ten play next on Trojans Live. And the head coach, Lincoln Riley, as we go into Big Ten play. Coach, winning on the road in college football has always been difficult. It's not unique to this conference, but last year you went through it and had to learn how to do longer flights for every single trip, basically, potential weather in this conference. Is there anything you took from last year as you go into conference, but into conference road play, that you feel like will make you feel more comfortable this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, one, there are some things from a travel and a schedule standpoint that we've looked at and feel like we've made a few tweaks to that are going to pay dividends for our football team and help us to be ready to go play well regardless of the time zone or location or time of the game. And so, I think going through the Big Ten in the first year opened our eyes to a couple of things that we feel like are going to help us this year. And I think, kind of, again, we've all said this a million times. I mean, last year we put ourselves in position to win every single one of those road games. It's you got to go play better. You got to go finish when you get the opportunity. You got to go play well and 2-minute and 4-minute scenarios and all of that. So I think this team is prepared and excited to go do it. We know that there's going to be a lot of challenges, but that's what separates great teams. And great teams win on the road. Period. And so this will be our first test and one that we've been talking about here for a long time.
Coach, defensively, I thought the defensive line got after it up front in the past game. Anthony Lucas, kind of that cool package you guys have in where he can move around in the middle there, looked great. I thought the run game might have got a little leaky at times. For you, was it more of a situational thing where, you got 6 guys in the box and you got to handle that, or just letting your guys know that, these rundowns, you got to be all in when you got only 6 guys in the box?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issues where we came back was we got out of gaps a couple of times. We got out of gaps a couple of times up front, a couple of times linebackers in the wrong spot. So we just had some basically some pure missed assignments, that opened up some of those lanes. And then, our young guys there at the end, when you get a chance to go play, you got to step in there and go play well. I mean, we stopped the drive there at the end, but gave up, obviously, a couple of explosive plays. So, no, got to be better there. It's great to – the front 7, it's great to make all the impactful plays, which we are, but you've got to make the steady routine plays too. Exactly right, and that's where we'll have to be better.
Looking at Purdue, head coach Odom has them at 2-0 right now. What have you seen as a whole from them? Yeah,
I mean, they're much improved. It's a totally different team. I mean, it's I think it's close to like 80 new players between portal and who they signed. Obviously, brand new staff, new systems, new everything. So, studying anything from previous years with Purdue is basically useless. And so, they've done a good job. They've played well in the first couple of games. They played well defensively. They've really held people down. They've done a nice job offensively of both running and throwing the football. They've got some confidence. They're 2-0. They're feeling good, and they did a good job. You kind of look at some of the portal additions that they had, some of the roster decisions that they made. They brought in some really good, impactful players and some guys that are off to a good start for them.
You're listening to the head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live. Coach, the NFL started this week, and you probably have coached dozens of guys in that league, but the amazing stat right now is that there's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and 5 of them played for you. It's a pretty crazy stat on its face, and I think you've maintained relationships with most of those guys. I'm curious what that relationship is like when you talk to like a Baker Mayfield. Are you guys just friends now, and you're talking about family and life, or does he come to you and you talk ball still?
Just honestly, whatever they're in the mood for. To be honest, just try to be there for them and as they go through the ups and downs of their season. And now that I'm not coaching them, it's just a chance to be, that supportive figure. And yeah, sometimes it's as simple as just checking in on each other, family, all that. Sometimes it's ball related. Sometimes we see them do something and I'll FaceTime one of those guys to talk to them about something that they did. And so, it just kind of varies with each guy. Each one of them are a little bit different, but it's been good to maintain those relationships. We've had several of them come up here and work out. Kyler brought his entire group up here this summer, and those guys stayed up here and worked out at our place for a while. And once the new facility's done, I imagine we'll have quite a few of them coming back or even more. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see those guys all out there playing. It is kind of a unique stat, but I think just it's a pride and excitement to see those guys having moved on to that level and having success to become high quality NFL starters.
Coach, I know you were locked into the game on Friday, but in the fourth quarter, they cut to a camera where they show people dancing at times, through the stands. And I don't know if you noticed, but they cut to the big fella upstairs, and I went to a move. And I want to know if you had any suggestions maybe, or you could offer some of your great knowledge of dancing. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see it?
I didn't. I'm disappointed I missed it. Can you show it to me?
It's a little bit like,
oh, yeah.
Like that. I think it was like that.
It was less. He was a little tired.
It was less. Yeah, was it?
It was tame by your standards.
I got some harsh criticism, but what did you think about?
Well, I think after all the surgeries, like I see this big old scar on your knee and all that. I mean, like, right? I got to be honest. I'm impressed.
Keely was all over me. She gave me a hard time. She was unimpressed with my moves.
He has more energy usually. So,
he does. You got high standards.
Caught me off guard. Caught me off guard a little bit. I'll work on that move, Coach.
I love it.
Pay attention in the fourth quarter, unless you're busy.
You got it.
Keely, can I ask a quick one? Because a fan tweeted at both of us, I think all three of us, and asked to get one in. I thought it was a pretty good question. I'm always out there for the opening coin toss. This question comes from Matthew Bodikid, who wants to know about your when you do win the toss, what goes into your decision, because you're a guy early on, I feel like pretty much always took the ball. Then there was a stretch, I feel like, where you changed that up. You took the ball on Saturday. What goes into that?
Yeah, some of it's just matchups. Some of it's weather. There's some of it's obviously kind of your team versus their team, and just kind of how you feel like it's going to play out. There's some analytics that we use with that too. I'm always aware of the analytics. I don't always go for it in terms of like following the analytics advice, but it is something that we're aware of. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a moving target, but ultimately at the end of the day, trying to put our team in the best position to win. That's probably the one thing I think that's you could argue how relevant it is or not. I mean, at some point, everybody's going to see the ball, but I do think there are some games where we're certainly a little more strategic with it than others.
All right, thanks for the question, Matthew. Thank you for your time, Coach. Lake McCree's coming up next on Trojans Live, and USC versus Purdue is coming up on Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 3:30 Eastern, right here on the USC Trojans Media Network. Lake McCree coming up.